Genesis chapter 36. And this is the genealogy of Esau, who is in Edom. Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan. Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Tisban, the Hivite, and Basmath, Ishmael's daughter, sisters of Nebahath. And Adah bore Eliphaz to Esau, and Basmath bore Ruel, and Ahonibamah bore Yeush, and Yalam, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau, who were born to him in the land of Canaan. And Esau took his wives, and his sons, and his daughters, and all the beings of his household, and his herds, and all his beasts, and all his possessions which he had gained in the land of Canaan, and went to a land away from the presence of his brother Jacob. For their possessions were too great for them to dwell together. And the land of their sojournings could not support them because of their herds. So Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And this is the genealogy of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir. These were the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, son of Adah, wife of Esau, and Reuel, son of Basemath, wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Taman, Omar, Sephu, and Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son. And she bore Amalek to Eliphaz. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Reuel, Nahath, and Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Oholibamah, Esau's wife, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Tisban, and she bore to Esau Yush, and Yalam, and Korah. These were the chiefs of the sons of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau, were Chief Teman, Chief Omar, Chief Sephu, and Chief Kenaz. Chief Korah, Chief Gatam, Chief Amalek. These were the chiefs of the Eliphaz in the land of Edom. They were the sons of Adah, and these were the sons of Reuel, Esau's son. Chief Nahath, Chief Zerah, Chief Shammah, and Chief Mizah. These were the chiefs of Reuel in the land of Edom. They were the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. And these were the sons of Oholibamah, apologize for the name, Esau's wife, Chief Yush, Chief Yalam, Chief Korah. These were the chiefs descending from Oholibamah, Esau's wife, the daughter of Anah. These were the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these were their chiefs. These were the sons of Seir, the Horite, who inhabited the land: Latan, and Shobal, and Chisban, and Anah, and Dishan, Dishan, and Esther, and Dishan. These were the chiefs of the Horites, the sons of Seir in the land of Edom. And the sons of Lotan were Hori and Hemam. Lotan's sister was Timah. And these were the sons of Shobal, Alwan, and Manahath, and Ebal, Shephu, and Onam. These were the sons of Chisban, Bath, Aya, and Anna. This was the Anna who found the water in the wilderness as he fed the donkeys of his father, Chisban. And these were the children of Anna, Dishon and Oholabama, the daughter of Anna. And these were the sons of Dishon, Hemdan and Eshban, and Yithran and Kiran. These were the sons of Esther, Balhan and Zahawan and Akan. These were the sons of Dishon, Uts and Aran. These were the chiefs of the Horites, Chief Lotan, Chief Shabal, Chief Chisban, Chief Anna, Chief Dishon, Chief Esther, and Chief Dishan. These were the chiefs of the Horites according to their chiefs in the land of Seir. And these were the sovereigns who reigned in the land of Edom before any sovereign reigned over the children of Yashrael. And Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom, and the name of the city was Dinabah. And Bela died, and Yabab, son of Zerah of Bashra, reigned in his place. And Yabab died, and Husham of the land of the Tessamites reigned in his place. And Husham died, and Hadad, son of Badad, who struck Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his place, and the name of his city was Awith. And Hadad died, and Samlah of Mashrekah reigned in his place. And Samlah died, and Shaul of Rehoboth by the river reigned in his place. And Shaul died, and Baal Hanan son Achor reigned in his place. And Baal Hanan son Achor died, and Hadar reigned in his place. And the name of his city was Pau, and his wife's name was Methbatael, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. And these were the names of the chiefs of Esau, according to their clans, according to their places, by the names: Chief Tema, Chief Alwa, Chief Yaheth, Chief Olahamba, Chief Chief Ahel, Chief Pinon, Chief Kenaz, Chief Taman, Chief Misabar, Chief Magdahel, Chief Aram. These were the chiefs of Edom, according to their dwelling places in the land of their possession. Esau was the father of the Edomites. Chapter 37. And Jacob dwelt in the land of his fathers, sojourning in the land of Canaan. This is the genealogy of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, and was feeding the flock of his brothers, and the young man was with the sons of Behah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought an evil report of them to his father. And Yashrael loved Joseph more than all his sons, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a long robe. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him, and were not able to speak peaceably to him. And Joseph dreamed a dream and told it to his brothers, so they hated him even more. And he said to them, "Please listen to this dream which I have dreamed. See, we are binding sheaves in the midst of the field. And see, my sheaf rose up and also stood up, and see, your sheaves stood all around and bowed down to my sheaf." And his brothers said to him, "Shall you indeed reign over us? Shall you indeed rule over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed still another dream, and related it to his brothers, and said, "See, I have dreamed another dream, and see, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bow down to me." And he related it to his father and his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall we, your mother and I and your brothers, indeed come to bow down to the earth before you?" And his brothers envied him, but his father guarded the word. And his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Yashrael said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, I send you to them." So he said to him, "Here I am." And he said to him, "Please go and see if it is well with your brothers and well with the sheep, and bring back word to me." So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and see, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, "What do you seek?" And he said, "I am seeking my brothers. Please inform me where they are feeding their sheep." And the man said, "They have left here, for I heard them say, 'Let us go towards Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. And they saw him from a distance, and before he came near them, they plotted against him to kill him. And they said to each other, "See, this master of dreams is coming. Now then, come, let us now kill him and throw him into some pit, and shall say, 'Some wild beast has devoured him.' Let us then see what comes of his dreams." But Reuben heard and rescued him from their hands, and said, "Let us not strike his being." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, throw him into this pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, in order to rescue him out of their hands, and bring him back to his father." So it came to be, when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph of his robe, the long robe which was on him, and they took him and threw him into a pit. And the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat a meal, and they lifted their eyes and looked, and saw a company of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels, bearing spices and balm and myrrh, going to take them down to Mizraim. And Yahu'ah said to his brothers, "What will we gain if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our flesh." And his brothers listened. And Mennonite traders passed by, so they pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit, and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they took Joseph to Mizraim. And Reuben returned to the pit, and see, Joseph was not in the pit. And he tore his garments. And he returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone, and I, where am I to go?" So they took Joseph's robe, slew a male goat, and dipped the robe in blood, and sent the long robe and brought it to their father and said, "We have found this. Please look, it is the robe of your son or not." And he recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. An evil beast has devoured him. Joseph is torn to pieces." And Jacob tore his garments and put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned for his son so many days. And all his sons and his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, and he said, "Now let me go down into Sheol to my son in mourning." So his father wept for him. And the Midianites had sold him in Mishraim to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. Chapter 38. And at that time it came to be that Yahu'ah left his brothers and turned aside to a man, an Adulamite, whose name was Hera. And Yahu'ah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her and went into her. So she conceived and bore a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. And she conceived yet again and bore a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Kezib when she bore him. And Yahu'ah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Yahu'ah's firstborn, was evil in the eyes of Yahu'ah, and Yahu'ah took his life. And Yahu'ah said to Onan, "Go into your brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up an heir to your brother." And Onan knew that the offspring would not be his. And it came to be, when he went into his brother's wife, that he spilled on the ground, lest he should give an offering to his brother. But what he did displeased Yahu'ah, so he took his life too. Then Yahu'ah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, "Remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah is grown." For he said, lest he also die as his brothers did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And after a long time, the daughter of Shua, Yahu'ah's wife, died. And Yahu'ah was comforted and went up to his sheep shears at Timnah, he and his friend Hira the Adulamite. And it was reported to Tamar, saying, "See, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep." And she took off her widow's garments and covered herself with a veil and wrapped herself and sat at the entrance of Anium, which was on the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him as a wife. And Yahu'ah saw her and reckoned her for a whore, for she had covered her face. And he turned aside to her by the way and said, "Please let me come in to you." For he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, "What do you give me to come into me?" And he said, "Let me send you a young goat from the flock." And she said, Do you give me a pledge until you send it?" So he said, "What pledge should I give you?" And she said, "Your seal and your cord and your staff that is in your hand." And he gave them to her and went into her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away and removed her veil and put on the garment of her widowhood. And Yahu'ah sent the young goat by the hand of his friend the Adulamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he did not find her. And he asked the men of the place, saying, Where is the cult prostitute who was beside the way of Anam? And they said, There was no cult prostitute in this place. And he returned to Yehuda and said, I have not found her. And the men of the place also said there was no cult prostitute in this place. And Yehuda said, Let her take them for herself, lest we become despised. For I sent this young goat, and you have not found her. And it came to be about 3 new months after that Yehuda was informed, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has whored, and see, she has conceived by whoring. And Yehuda said, Bring her out and let her be burned. But she was brought out. When she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man to whom these belong, I am pregnant. And she said, Please examine whose these are, the seal and the cord and the staff. And Yehuda examined and said, She has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Shelah my son. And he never knew her again. And it came to be at the time for giving birth, that see, twins were in her womb. And it came to be when she was given birth, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, This one came out first. And it came to be, as he drew back his hand, that see, his brother came out. And she said, How did you break through this breach upon you? So his name was called Peretz. And afterward his brother came out, who had the scarlet thread on his hand. So his name was called Zerah. Genesis chapter 39. And Joseph had been taken down to Mistrium. And Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, a Mistrian, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. And it came to be that Yahu'ah was with Joseph, and he became a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master the Mistrian. And his master saw that Yahu'ah was with him, and that Yahu'ah had made all he did do to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his eyes and served him, and he appointed him over his house, and gave into his hand all that he had. And it came to be from the time that he appointed him over his house and all that he had, that Yahu'ah beroot the Mistrian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of Yahu'ah was on all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left in Joseph's hand all that he had, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. And Joseph was handsome in the form and handsome in appearance. And after these events, it came to be that his master's wife lifted up her eyes to Joseph and said, Lie with me. But he refused and said to his master's wife, Look, my master does not know what is with me in this house, and he has given into me hand all that he has. No one is greater in this house than I, and he has not withheld whatever from me but you, because you are his wife. And how shall I do this great evil and sin against Yahu'ah? And it came to be, as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not listen to her, to lie with her, to be with her. And it came to be on a certain day, when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house were inside, that she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. But he left his garment in her hand, and fled and ran outside. And it came to be, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called to the men of her house and spoke to them, saying, See, he has brought in to us a Hebrew to mock us. He came into me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And it came to be, when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me, and he fled and went outside. And she kept his garment until his master came home. And she spoke to him these words, saying, The Hebrew servant whom you brought to us came into me to mock me. So it came to be, as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled outside. And it came to be, when his master heard these words which his wife spoke to him, saying, Your servant did to me according to these words, that his displeasure burned. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the sovereign's prisoners were confined. And he was there in prison. But Yahu'ah was with Joseph and extended loving commitment to him, and he gave him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. And the prison warden gave into the hand of Joseph all the prisoners who were in the prison, and whatever was done there was his doing. The prison warden did not look into any point that was under Joseph's hand, because Yahu'ah was with him, and whatever he did, Yahu'ah made it prosper. Chapter 40. And after these events it came to be that the cupbearer and the baker of the sovereign of Misraim sinned against their master, the sovereign of Misraim. And Pharaoh was wroth with his two officers, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. So he put them in confinement in the house of the captain of the guard in the prison, the place where Joseph was a prisoner. And the captain of the guard put Joseph in charge of them, and he served them, so they were in confinement for some time. Then the cupbearer and the baker of the sovereign of Misraim, who were confined in the prison, dreamed a dream, both of them, each man's dream in one night, and each man's dream with its own interpretation. And Joseph came into them in the morning and looked at them and saw they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in the confinement of his master's house, saying, Why do you look so sad today? And they said to him, We each have dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. And Joseph said to them, Do not interpretations belong to Yahu'ah? Relate them to me, please. So the chief cupbearer related his dream to Joseph and said to him, See, in my dream a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded. Its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, so I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said to him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days Pharaoh is going to lift up your head and restore you to your place, and you shall put Pharaoh's cup in his hand according to the former ruling when you were his cupbearer. But remember me, it is well with you, and please show loving commitment to me, and mention me to Pharaoh, and get me out of this house. For truly I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and also I have done naught that they should put me into the dungeon. And the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, and he said to Joseph, I also was given in my dream, and saw 3 white baskets were on my head. And in the uppermost basket all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh. And the birds ate them out of the basket on my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days, yet within 3 days Pharaoh is going to lift off your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds shall eat your flesh from you. And on the 3rd day, Pharaoh's birthday, it came to be that he made a feast for all his servants, and he lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief cupbearer to his post of cupbearer again, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. And the chief cupbearer did not mention Joseph, but forgot him.